It is a certain date today. What's the date today?
It's the 11th.
Okay, see, I start out right away with it, making editorializing. Sorry, everybody. Anyway, it is March 11th, 2025. I am Dr. Grantham Taylor Hughes for my show, The Grantham Taylor Hughes Show, with my co-host and wonderful person in the world, Lena Suzanne. How are you doing, Lena Suzanne?
I'm very well, thank you, Grantham. And how are you?
I'm just fine. You see how things go. These are funny stuff. You make a mistake right out of the gate. Why not? I call it editorializing and kibitzing and all sorts of things. People like it. See, when you make error, error, error. So we were talking in pre-talk about talking about how to get rich because people are interested in money, I think, and so we were. I'm really good at that. So I think there are a lot of people that are very successful, and the reason for that, and the main thrust of the whole thing would be a book that I would one of my mentors, Wallace Wattles, is Rhonda Byrne's mentor too. The woman that wrote The Secret, her mentor in her epilogue, she talked about Wallace Wattles in the book The Science of Getting Rich. So don't forget that book. It's called The Science of Getting Rich. Pretty simple, right? So in that book, he was explaining how to get rich, obviously. Excuse me. And in that book, the main point and the most important part of the book, ironically, is chapter 14, the impression of increase. Because everybody wants more and more of everything, more love, more life, more wealth, just more of everything, more beauty, just across the board. They want more in their heart of hearts. Like some people say, I don't really want much. But that's because they've justified that over the years because they weren't getting it, you see, because they didn't know how to get it. So the idea is, as I was saying before in the past, that we're creating things with our eyesight. Our eyes are the creators. So I know people get nervous when we start talking about eyesight because eye contact and all that business, it makes people nervous because they think that when somebody looks in someone's eyes, that there are the windows of the soul. But in reality, they're mirrors. They're mirror reflections of our own creation. So that gets into some pretty intricate conversation, but we don't need to bother with that for now. But at the same time, we can discuss the fact that we are creating things with our eyesight. See, and therefore that alludes to the fact that, well, how do you create with your eyesight? Well, you need to focus on something. You need an instrument. So we've talked about on other podcasts and videos and what have you about a mandala. Mandala work is like a circular object with a picture in the middle of it. And the most important mandala, we call it the Sri Yantra. It's an ancient term, an ancient symbol that goes back to the dawn of time. And the Hindus have picked it up in their religion, but it really is just a geometric progression. And we'll be showing it right away. There you go. And there's the Sri Yantra. And you can see right in the middle, there's a circle in the middle, a little white circle. And that's called the Bindu, Bindu. And you put your attention on this Bindu. And you don't have to be nervous about this whole thing. It's not a religion or anything. It's just a way to create money. And it's an ancient practice. It's not a religion. It hasn't anything to do with any philosophy. It's not really any sort of negativity in reference to in reference to the idea of getting rich. Okay, you see what I mean? So it's not there's no negativity in the art of doing this. Okay, so we can appreciate that the practice of this. And the practice is of viewing, a 9-minute viewing. That's the definition of the practice. You want to view that center, look in the center for 9 minutes every day, and that will bring you wealth. Okay. And I'm always saying, would you rather work 8 hours a day or work 9 minutes a day? See, so that my battery's low on the computer, so if it dies out, we'll have to start over. Anyway, I didn't have it plugged in. All right, so let me continue with that. Sorry with the housekeeping there. Anyway, so this practice is very simple. It's not complex, and people say, well, don't I have to chant something or affirmations or and I'm saying no because this Sri Yantra is really a geometric progression of your own self that they defined a long time ago. It's a structure of the physical body in a geometric forms and triangulations. You see the triangles, what have you, and triangles are the obvious geometry, but then I've discussed the fact that geometry really is the trying to measure mood swings or movement and the outside. So they came up with linear algebra and geometry and calculus, but really the only one has value is calculus, and that's what we're looking at now is calculus in front of us is the Sri Yantra. So this particular Sri Yantra is important because it's black and white, and there's not too many distractions, even though there are some fancy calligraphy and write not calligraphy, but artwork around it, and you can see that it's kind of a beautiful symbol. But the overview of it is called a mandala. Mandala would be a circular focusing mechanism. So I guess we're going to leave it up, or we can take it off for now. We'll come back.
Hmm.
Okay, so anyway, you can get that yantra online, and like I said, you do that for 9 minutes each day. Okay, what I was going to talk about with that is why you don't have to really think anything, even though you'll be thinking, people will be thinking the whole time, but then you just sort of try to ignore that and do a pure observation of the bindu, and it draws everything to you. The proof of that, years ago, I used to have arguments with an ex-wife. I'll say ex-wife because I say one now. They say, "Oh, he argues with his wife." Anyway, so oh my. Anyway, so what I would do, we'd be in restaurants kibitzing, and what I would do, or arguing, I would pick up a spoon and or any type of utensil off of the table, and I'd start looking at it. I'd turn it around, look at it, and focus on the. So after a while, after even just maybe 30 seconds of doing this, the individual will say, "Stop doing that. You're having everybody come to you." So you're drawing everything to you with your eyesight. See, if you focus on something at great length, then it's whatever you're thinking and doing is going to come to you. Now, the reason for the instrument, the yantra, is that yantra is a geometric, it's like a mirror of you. It's an ancient mirror, but it doesn't look like a mirror, but it's just they divined, ancients divined years ago, this geometric progression is a superstructure of your physical body made manifest. So it's really like a mirror of you, and it's just like you know yourself inwardly, it knows you too as well. So you don't really have to say anything to the yantra, you just have to view it, and it knows you inside and out. So it knows everything you want, it knows everything you desire, and that is why we don't say something to it because it's kind of like an insult because it already knows what it's about. Now, excuse me, it sounds like a something that's alive. It's not really alive, but it's really an instrument. Just think of it as an instrument, a wealth instrument that will guide you to your empire, so to speak, or wealth. It'll bring you wealth. It's been proven over a course of a long time, thousands of years. So that's why we do that. We do things that work. I'm always saying anything that works is positive, and even though people might question the practice of the whole thing, I'm suggesting that you do that because I've done that and created an empire by utilizing that particular mandala a long time ago. So you have to appreciate that it's a voice of experience. We always want to take the information from someone who's experienced it, and that's I have experienced it, so that's why I'm recommending it because it's very easy to do. In other words, Lena, wouldn't you rather work 9 minutes a day than 8 hours?
Absolutely, yes.
Well, that's what we're saying to everybody. You can quit your job and do the yantra today, and you'll bring wealth to you tomorrow. I don't know if it'll be that quick, but then people say, well, when will I get it? Well, it depends on the individual's energy and their own power. How much power you have in the sighted world, your eyes open, the exoteric world. How much power do you have in that world? And that's when it will come to you. It might come tomorrow. It might come in a month, 2 months. It might take you 10 years, but it will happen because any practice you do doesn't come back void. Anything that you do has cause and effect to it. They call that karma in the Far East, and I think there are a lot of people in America that have believe in karma now too. But it's really just a cause and effect. It's action and reaction. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So if you do the practice of the yantra, the practice is not going to come back void to you. They even say if you don't believe in the yantra, it still works. You see what I mean? So any action you do has a reaction to it. That's a science. That's a fact in the matter. So I recommend doing that instrument, and then you'll see what happens. It wouldn't hurt to do 9 minutes, even if you don't believe it. Do 9 minutes every day for a while and see what happens in your life. And I assure you it will work.
Grantham, I wanted to ask, some people say that they're not really looking for wealth, but they might be looking for, or they might have other priorities in life, like health um,
Yes,
or, you know, lots of other things which aren't necessarily financial.
correct.
So
That's correct.
will
Well,
the
so the yantra will bring that to you also. But see, the yantra knows in your heart of hearts that everybody wants more, the impression of increase. Everybody wants to increase. So they're in denial, but the denial will go away in the yantra because the yantra knows you true and true. See, so when you do the yantra, it will bring everything about you. It will bring whatever you're desiring or just whatever you're about. Because if you look in the mirror, what do you get? You get you, right? You get everything about it. When you look in the mirror, you get a reflection of yourself. So that's what the yantra will bring you. Even if you deny the fact that you don't want anything or we want just enough to get by, that's a denial. And people privately would own up to that and admit that because of the fact but then people that don't want to get wealth don't know, they don't believe they can get it. See, that's why they justify it and they settle for just getting by. You see what I mean? They settle because they don't believe they can get it done. So it's a belief factor. I mean, maybe that's a good thing to talk about, belief. A strong belief in something will make things manifest. A strong belief in anything, here you are. Our belief that we're in this room, that you and I are talking to each other, that's a relative fact. I mean, it's a relationship in terms of we've agreed to do this meeting and we can see each other, and that's sight recognition there. We talked about the fidelity ceremony in the last video. That's very important because that manifestation is relativity. The theory of relativity, people get nervous about because they think E equals MC squared is a very difficult equation, and it's really an entire chalkboard full of equation, mathematical notation, but they shortened it to E equals MC squared, and they get nervous about that because they don't think they can understand that. But all it means is it's a relative experience between any people. It's called relativity. That's why they call people have relatives and relationships. That those terms come from the word relative, and relativity is a part of that relationship. So that's all relativity is a relationship with anything in our world today. So that's not difficult to understand because we have relationships with the images around me. The importance of relativity and people get nervous about it because they think it's a difficult subject. But as I always say to you and other people, I simplify the very complex. So if you stay with me, you'll find that things are pretty simple. So relativity just means relative. If you look at the study of words is the answer to everything. So if we do that and then we explore it, but the real problem is people are slaves of time. They don't have time to research. They think they did all their academia in school, but in reality, life is a constant experience and learning process. I always talk about being experiencing things because we're always learning. It means we never know anything. So it's sort of a negative thing. But I always say you can experience things on a constant basis, and that brings you the joy of knowledge, and it's kind of an enlightenment, so to speak. And I think it's very important that way. So relativity is something important because everyone has a relationship in terms of humanity. So when we get down to the cases and specificity of these things, you find that they're very simple. We need to find a simple road to comprehend all of our ideas that are supposedly complex. There's no complex idea in the world if we take the time to explain it, but we don't take the time, correct? Because we're not masters of time, because people are slave to the international labor camp, as they call it. People are, they say prostitution is the oldest profession, but that's what people do. They prostitute themselves to the employer. So I'm trying to say that the yantra that we showed a little while ago should be your only employer. So when you think about it, you're your own employer, you pay yourself. That's really interesting because in reality, if everything is your creation, you're really paying yourself. So let's get down to cases. The specifics means that you are paying your own self. So you get with that mandala and you realize it's the only employer that you need. And once it starts working, it's amazing how miraculous it is. I mean, miracles happen in our lives every single day. And the Sri Yantra can bring a miracle of wealth to people. Pretty easy too.
Grantham, there are many different kinds of mandalas out there. So why is it the Sri Yantra specifically that you are recommending and not any of the others?
Well, this was one given to me by my Tibetan Lama teachers in the Far East, and it's been proven because it's called a charged yantra. That particular Sri yantra, the one I showed you, is charged. It has a lot of power with it, and only because people were looking at these ancient teachers and masters were using it for so long, they just put a lot of their energy into it. So it has a storied record. It's ancient. It's thousands of years old. That particular yantra, which is you can see it has kind of an ancient feel to the whole thing. So, but don't make you nervous because most religions think that you're have a perpetual essence, a perpetual soul. I have a tendency to believe in that, but I'm theist too, by the way. I'm not atheist because people get nervous because I talk about existentialism a lot. And mostly those people are atheists. I'm a theist, but that's as far as it goes in reference to that. But I think that by doing this practice, it will bring whatever you want in your life because it's work. You're doing some work, but it's only 9 minutes a day. And the reason why the 9 minutes is the ancients used to do just 9 minutes every day and maintain their empire. And because we're going to get into the cosmos of being unlimited, we don't have to stop worrying about competition, about having a piece of land and somebody else wants to get it. There's plenty of space for everybody, plenty of everything for everybody. That's what Charles Dickens said in his books years ago in the Christmas Carol. Plenty of everything for everybody, right? And it's true. It really is when you get down to cases. So that's why you can create your wealth with this instrument. Don't be nervous about it. Don't just try it out. You might be really not believing it, you don't believe in it at all. But just remember that, like I said earlier on the call here, that nothing comes back to you void. Any practice, you'll get return for it, but you have to do the practice. The issue is that most people don't use the tool. They put it in the toolbox and leave it there. So if you use the tool, if you're not a wealthy person, you will gain wealth through this practice if you do it. See, that's it. There's a discipline in life. You can't just sit back and not do anything. I mean, people go and get jobs all the time. That's a discipline, a daily job that they do to get their wherewithal in that orthodox manner. They do that particular discipline. So I'm just saying, if you add 9 minutes to your daily routine, I don't think that's asking a lot. I'm not gaining anything by it other than giving you the truth and the opportunity.
Mhm. Do you think there's other benefits to the yantra other than gaining wealth?
Wealthy.
'Cause
Right.
I
Well,
can
like I
imagine,
said, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. I can imagine that just practicing it helps to increase our focus of attention.
That too, and anything that you want. Like if you want health, if that's your priority, you'll get that. The yantra knows you because it's a mirror. See, so that's why we don't really for 9 minutes we want just to do a viewing because you have that's the discipline. Albeit you'll still be thinking a lot and thinking about things, but try to center your attention on pure observation for the 9 minutes, and it draws everything to you because it's a physical occurrence, it's an exoteric occurrence that will take place. But if you need health and it knows what you need. So it will fix anything in your life because you're fixing yourself. See, we want to be whole and complete, but a lot of people, when they're financially strapped, they're miserable and all that business. And they have a lot of troubles in their lives, but we get rid of our own troubles. So if you practice this, it will pretty much clear up everything. I mean, people will be in denial of that whole thing, but it has an ancient track record. It's very, very old. I wouldn't even bring it up, but my teachers were explaining this to me in the Far East many years ago. Ironically, my family's been doing mandala work for a long time, and they're extremely wealthy, the top 12 banks in the world, but they're all doing some form of mandala work, focusing the attention. And that's pretty simple, Lena, when you think about it, and easy too. There's nothing difficult about that. When we talk to people, and if they're in denial of the fact they're using their eyes, they use their eyes all the time. But most of the time, it's just scattered in, they're scattering their attention and not focusing their attention. See, so the yantra helps you focus the attention on a center, and then everything is scientifically or practically or realistically, empirically coming to you. You see what I mean? It comes to you because you're doing the discipline. You're utilizing your physical eyes in a proper creation of the world around you, or we're conscious of. I'm explaining to you what takes place in your life, really simply, and we're doing it anyway, naturally. We might as well be conscious of it. Don't you agree?
Hmm. Some people have got an idea that, or they might say, well, wealth can't bring you happiness. And um, there's almost this idea that it's a noble thing to give away your worldly goods and have very little and be
Right.
humble. And,
Yeah, you got to get balanced with that whole thing because, like I said before, in your heart of hearts, people want to have things, but they don't know how to do it. So we're giving the hows, and there's plenty of space to do that. See, so when people just want a little, they've compensated for that. They've justifying the fact of settling for something that they can't really gain at large, right? At the same time, it's okay. You can, if that's what you're really thinking about, what you want, the yantra will bring what you are thinking about, but in reality, you're thinking beyond that. There's something bigger there. I mean, if the religions are right about we have this eternal essence, what's going on there? You see that it's something very intricately woven and extraordinary. I have to watch out for the word special when I talk about the British because they connote that as being having disabilities or something special. But it is. I believe that particular practice or each individual are extraordinary. I really believe that. I wouldn't be doing this podcast if I didn't think you were extraordinary and all people are extraordinary and you deserve the information. You deserve to have a good life, And a lot of people aren't happy, see? And I really believe that people can be happy if they have certain things in their life, the necessities in life that they really want in their heart of hearts. See, so we got to get down to the truth in the matter. So when we get into the knowingness arena, we all know things, and I'm addressing the things that you know and the things that I know and what everybody else knows. That's why people really like our calls. And I was doing another interview with some podcasters a long time ago, and they went viral. So I know this information is in big demand. And why? Well, it's the truth. The truth is in big demand. People want the truth. So if somebody's making even an effort, I coined a noun years ago called attemption, meaning we have to make the attempt to do something. And then people were saying, well, isn't it all futile because we eventually just pass away? I said, yes, but in reality, in our essence of essence, it's divine futility. So our futility is divine. So we practice that. We're going to do it anyway. We have to do. That's what makes us our daily life is in the doing practice. Tennyson the poet Tennyson wrote the line, "Ours is not the reason why, ours is but to do and die." It was about the Crimean War, and that particular poem it has truth in it because the action phrase is to do. We have to do outside the supreme deity, in my opinion, because I believe that we're not the supreme deity, so that means we have to be doing things. We have to do, and that makes people happy because even though they're thinking about something, they don't have something. What are you going to do? You're going to take another step, You're going to go to work tomorrow or not go to work. You're going to be in the process of doing something. Pregnant pauses are good
Yeah.
as long as when the baby gets born, he's healthy or she is.
So
It-
can we go in, Grantham, into a bit more detail about how we do the practice? So people can find this mandala, the Sri Yantra online. Um, they can, do they look at it on the screen? Do they print it out on paper?
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing. I'm glad we got you asked that question. You should be about 12 inches to 18 inches away from it. That's a precise measure. So that's good that we talked about that. And that particular one we have is like an 8.5 by 11 size, but you can do it electronically or you can print it out and do it on paper. But the distance should be 12 to 18 inches from the bindu. I'm glad you mentioned that. That's an important process. But that's about it. I mean, it's not really that technical per se, but there is a factor of doing it every single day because you're putting energy into it. And that was a discipline that was taught to me to do it every single day, and it will bring you whatever you're wanting in your life. You see, no matter what it is, whether it's health or wealth or whatever, it will come to you by the discipline. And then they didn't give an answer about when, because as I said before, that particular answer is based upon the power of the individual. How much power do you have exoterically, and how quickly it will come to you? So they don't have a time limit on the whole thing. So if people will do it for a week or two and nothing happens, just stick with it. Just stay with the discipline because it's only 9 minutes. It's not that long. It's not like you're taking an hour out of your life or whatnot. You see, it's not that much to ask to create something very important in your life because it really works because it's proven. I proved it for myself, so I'm a voice of experience with the whole thing. So I'm just saying, if you're willing to practice it, then that'll come back to you manifold. It'll bring fruition of whatever you want in your life, which is really important because that's what we're here for. We're trying to gain things and gain knowledge or living our life and not being subjected to limitations. There really are no limitations to it. Even my mentor, Wallace Wattles, in The Science of Getting Rich, and his the chapter 14, the impression of increase, was talking about that there's no limits to anything. He was talking about the esoteric side is illimitable and the inside. The outside is virtually illimitable, meaning unlimited, but it is unlimited. That means it is unlimited, but I'm always saying that the limitation that we have exoterically is our physical body. Eventually you fall asleep, your body gets tired. See, you can only go a certain distance in the world physically walking, but it's really a vast domain up to the sun. It's a bajillion kilometers. That's one with 63 zeros after it. You see, so that practice in itself, which we'll get into in the future talks we have here, because there's a lot of information that needs to be discussed. And people say, "Well, you're all over the place." Well, I'm not if you're paying attention. And we talked about it being like a 70-30 thing, the marginal efficiency of capital. Eventually, initially when we're doing this call, probably we'll get like 95% approval rate, but eventually it'll shake out to about 70-30. That's a marginal efficiency. Remember I said in the last video that you can play the game solitaire, but you can only win one out of four times. So that kind of ruins the game. So I ruined the game for you. Ruined the game for us, Grantham. You can only win 25% of the time, just like at the casino, at the tables in the casino, you can only win 25% of the time too. So if you're up 25%, get out of there because you're going to lose it all. Or if you're up 75%, it reverses the cipher. Get out of there because you're going to start losing again because the house wins 75% of the time.
Mm,
So that's another thing too. Gamblers need to know you need to be careful with all that because you'll lose everything that you gain. So,
mm,
so it's mathematical precision in reference to practice, just like using the yantra is mathematical precision because you're putting energy into it and it doesn't come back void. It just will not. But try it out for a few weeks or a few days. You'll see how powerful people are in reference to bringing them an empire. and there's plenty of space to do that. But we'll get into that, the proper cosmos and whatnot. How are we doing on time or time wise?
I think we're probably nearing the end now.
Okay.
Is there anything you want to add for the last few minutes?
No, I just appreciate everybody being here and listening into what we have to give. I think we have some vital information that I think anybody can use easily. It's not complex. I don't talk about complex things. There might be a lot of data, a lot of information. You see what I mean? And but then we repeat things. We'll be doing these calls and repeating things a lot. And if there are any Q&A eventually, we'll just repeat. And if you're bringing up very good questions, and we'll get into these things. Repetition is how we learn things anyway. So that's my final note for today. Repetition is how we learn.
Okay, thank you very much, Grantham. Very interesting today. And I've also learned what I should do next time I'm in the casino.
Well done. I
So
appreciate that. Okay. Have a great day.
thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.